All right, Melissa, it's over to you.
Thanks, Steph, and hi, everybody. Good to see you again. I just wanted to give you an update on our Verified initiative. As you'll recall, Verified is an initiative that I briefed you on towards the end of May, and that we've been rolling out. That is basically, calling on people around the world to tackle what is called an infodemic, coined by Tedros at WHO, basically a glut of information out there, which is mixed with a glut of dangerous misinformation. And this information, we strongly believe, is hampering not just the public health response, but it's ultimately risking people's lives. And so we also know, and we're seeing more and more evidence that the purveyors of misinformation are creating slick contents and storylines that are, they're not really filling an information vacuum, but they're often more slick and shareable and full of, black and white statements that, of course, people who communicate responsibly and rely on science are unable to do, because we have to communicate in nuance, and the science changes. Those purveyors of misinformation promise cures that don't exist, and that may even be harmful, that they claim that the virus emerged, for example, as a plot to destroy humanity, or they say it's only there to make profits. Worryingly, we're seeing a lot of anti-vaccine groups coming out, already working on people against any future vaccine for COVID-19, which is really our only hope to ever eradicate the disease. So basically, this initiative that we have been rolling out is aiming to overtake the misleading content with engaging and trusted and accurate science-based information, because we also find a lot of evidence from polling that people are searching for reliable information, and they're aware that there's misinformation out there, but they're sometimes not able to find it. So we're trying to make that easier. We're doing it through our UN channels, obviously, but just to report, I mentioned when I briefed you the last time that part of the initiative was aimed at recruiting what we're calling information volunteers, or digital first responders. And so far, we've had over 10,000 people sign up. And that number is growing at a rate of about 10% per week. And these information volunteers receive from us a daily feed of content that they can then share again, because what we've learned is that a lot of the information that is out there is being circulated in circles, in Facebook groups, in places where UN broadcasts can't normally penetrate, so peer-to-peer. We also were very pleased in the meantime to see that the member states also came out in support of Verified and showed their concern about the infodemic and the rise of misinformation. The PR of Latvia mobilized a two-thirds majority of UN membership, 132 member states, on the 11th of June. You probably all saw that statement. And now they're pledging their support for what's happening tomorrow. And that's why I'm here to just briefly mention this to you and flag it with you, that tomorrow is actually Social Media Day. And on this day, we thought it was appropriate to launch maybe an initiative that's a bit of social distancing from social media. It's what we're calling, and because of the study that we've done from psychologists, from misinformation experts about human behavior and how misinformation is spreading. And one of the ways it's spreading is the way people are sharing. And so the idea of pause is take care before you share. We hope that take care before you share starts to become a kind of social norm that people have in the back of their head, and that will enable a personal behavior change that will help, I'm just saying help, stop the spread of misinformation. obviously, changing, personal behavior does help, but it's not enough. Misinformation is spreading like a virus. It's playing into people's fears, and its creators are the masters of the platform's algorithms. So, while it relies on us to share in the heat of the moment, and to provoke an emotional response, we need also the platforms, obviously, to work with us to stop this problem or on their own. So the technology companies, we need most of all to address the problem, and they are taking some meaningful steps. We're in conversation with them, but we also believe, and this is why we're launching Pause, that we can't wait, that we also can make a difference through this effort. So we will be working with the platforms, going forward, but given the scale of the problem, we need to join forces. So take care before you share tomorrow is a message. We have a lot of content that we can provide you the link to so that you can see. This is content that can be broadcast on media partners' airwaves. We have a number of media around the world who've agreed to air, who have agreed to share on their digital platforms. And we have a number of also just very grassroots groups, from fact checkers in Colombia to journalists in Mali who are producing radio jingles, to doctors in India doing live Q&As, to young journalists in the UK, all kind of, doing their creative take on this initiative. So the spokesperson's office can provide you the link where you can see the content and perhaps even embed it if you would be willing. But that's all I have for you now. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Before I turn it over to Edie for the first question, just to advise you, you'll be getting in your emails shortly a statement from us on Malawi, in which the Secretary General welcomes the peaceful holding of the elections in Malawi recently. Okay, thank you. Edie, please go ahead.
Hi, Melissa. Thank you on behalf of the United Nations Correspondents Association for doing this little briefing. Three questions, actually. First, is there any kind of a launch event for this Take Care Before You Share initiative? Secondly, these 10,000 digital responders, how many countries are they from? And is there a UN effort to get people from every single country involved in this? And the same question for the initiative that the Latvian ambassador launched, which was 132 countries, but that's like 60 countries that are not part of that. What happens with them? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. No, thanks very much, Edie. We're not doing any event per se, but we will be putting out material starting first thing tomorrow. There'll be a press release, and you'll be able to see what we call assets. There are videos, there are GIFs, there are all kinds of different things that you'll see that we're going to be pushing out in different languages all over the world. We've shared all of this material in advance with our offices in the field so that they can translate them into local languages and adapt them in local languages. So, we've done the official UN languages, but we'd like to get it out as far as we possibly can. The same with the information volunteers. It's slowly building. We have basically 9 languages that we're communicating to UN information volunteers in, but we're asking our offices around the world to recruit as many as possible locally, and we're hoping for as much representation around the globe as possible. And yeah, the same with the member states. We were actually very pleased with that number, but of course we would be even more pleased if the entire world could be represented in that statement. It's the PR of Latvia is the energy behind this, and perhaps you could reach out to him to see. I know that he didn't want to see this statement as something that it was a one-off, but they want to continue to work towards recruiting more member states.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. James Bays, please go ahead.
Thank you for doing this. You talked about the social media companies briefly. I know that Twitter has recently come up with a plan, and it's already doing it. It's even doing it to the President of the United States, of labeling hateful content and conduct. And now Facebook, under great pressure from advertisers, looks like it's going to do something similar. Your view on that, a little bit more perhaps on what the conversations between the UN and the social media companies are. And you've got all these volunteers. Clearly, the way social media works is some people have lots and lots of followers. I know the UN has worked with sort of celebrity ambassadors and whatever. Are you reaching out to celebrities and influencers to try and back this project as well?
Yeah, thanks, Jay. I'll start with the last question. We are absolutely reaching out to the celebrity ambassadors and influencers. So obviously, they have incredible reach on the platforms, and we're hoping, and we'll be able to see tomorrow how many actually really do work with us. But there's so far been a lot of enthusiasm to sign up to help us with this. On the platforms, we are obviously, well, first of all, the Secretary General wrote to the CEOs of Twitter, Facebook, and Google, and asking them to join us in this effort. First of all, in supporting Pause. I think we'll have more details because it was only last week that he reached out to them. And we've been following up in calls in the more technical level, but we are getting indications that they will be providing us some meaningful support in promoting this campaign in various ways. Also, to note that very much in the spirit of the Pause campaign, Twitter has a recent initiative, which is in its retweets. If the system recognizes that you haven't actually read the article before you're about to retweet it, a notice comes up saying, "Have you read this?" So they indicated that they really want to expand this in the context of the Pause initiative tomorrow and going forward. And they've all pledged a lot of excitement and working with the UN going forward. It's clear that we can change all the social behavior, awareness, what we call misinformation literacy. We want, and it will, we believe, go a long way in slowing the spread, but to really meaningfully stop it, we need the platforms to do their part.
Thank you. Evelyn Leopold, you have a question.
Yes.
Go ahead, Evelyn.
Website. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Evelyn.
Hi, Melissa. Is there a website that you can give us that we can see some of this information? And secondly, what do you do if alternative facts are distributed by heads of state? I can think of at least two of them.
Yes, there is a website, and I'll ask, there are two. There's shareverified.org, and the campaign website, which we can share after that, is basically, it's takecarebeforeyoushare.org, and there you can see all the assets. Yes, it is obvious that where leadership bases their messaging on science, the response to COVID-19 is more effective. We hope that also through this initiative that we can be seen as the United Nations, WHO, increasingly as a reliable source of information to turn to for neutral, unpoliticized facts about how to protect oneself from COVID-19, guidance on how to protect your community and the way we go forward. So yes, it's unfortunate when messaging in a pandemic gets politicized, and it does significant damage to the response.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Dulcie, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, is there a time limit on this initiative? Are you going to run it through the end of 2020? And is there a financial supporter behind this, or is the money coming from UN general budget? Thanks.
Thank you very much. No, this is actually, for me, it's very refreshing because it's usually the UN and runs campaigns that have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You lead up to it, you drop it, and then you move on to the next. This is an initiative that we hope to carry forward for as long that it's needed in the COVID-19 period, but beyond. We think that it's a necessary kind of way of working. We continuously measure success, but when you think about the climate crisis, misinformation, it was huge and still is in the field of climate. And also, part of this verified is really is producing the good information that already exists in ways that are more compelling, that are easier to access, that are more social media compatible and shareable, so that we kind of drown out some of this bad information. So as long as we can get the funding, I think that we'll continue it. The funding, the bulk of the funding right now is coming from the IKEA Foundation and the foundation called Luminate. And there are a couple of other donors who are expressing interest, including soon, hopefully, we'll be able to announce a member state or two that it will also contribute. So this is all out, extra budgetary, completely extra budgetary. And hopefully we will continue to get robust funding.
Great. Thank you very much. So, Melissa, thank you for coming in on very short notice, and I'll see the rest of you tomorrow. Take care.
Right. Bye, everyone. Thanks. Take care.